All right, let's talk about something we all do, but maybe not as well as we think. Sleep. I mean, tonight, millions of us are going to hit the pillow, right? But how many of us will actually get that deep, restorative rest our bodies are crying out for? So in this explainer, we're going to dig into the science of taking back control of your sleep health. It's about moving from just, surviving the day to actually thriving. So let's just start with a really direct question. I want you to ask yourself this. Are you getting good sleep? And I don't just mean, are you getting enough hours in bed? I mean, is it actually good quality sleep? Because that question is so important. The answer is way more complex than we've been led to believe. It's not just a numbers game. You could be in bed for 8, 9, even 10 hours and still wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck. Why? Because your body and your brain never got the deep, fundamental restoration they desperately needed. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about what it really means to be tired. Then, we'll dive into the actual science of sleep quality. After that, we'll look at the warning signs you really shouldn't ignore. Then, we'll walk through the path to a real diagnosis. And finally, we'll see why this is one of the single best investments you can make in your own health. So, Section 1. More than feeling tired. We really need to stop thinking about constant exhaustion as some kind of badge of honor for being busy and start seeing it for what it could be, a sign of a really widespread and often undiagnosed medical problem. We talk all the time about diet and exercise being the pillars of good health, and they are, absolutely. But there's a third pillar, and it's just as critical: sleep. It is fundamental to everything, from how we think to how our immune system works. But here's the problem. We just normalize a crack in that pillar. We just miss feeling exhausted as, oh, I just have a busy life. And that can be a really dangerous mistake. So, if that pillar is cracked, how do we fix it? Well, before you can fix anything, you have to understand what it's supposed to look like when it's solid. And that brings us to our next section, the quality of your sleep. Let's get into the science of what real rest actually is. This is so fascinating. Sleep isn't just an on-off switch. It's more like a journey you take every single night. You cycle through all these different stages. You drift from light sleep down into that super important deep sleep. That's when your body does most of its physical repair work. And then you come up into REM sleep, which is where your brain is working hard, sorting memories and processing emotions. If anything breaks that cycle, you're getting robbed of a key part of the whole process. And this right here, this slide gets to the absolute heart of the matter. On the left, you've got quantity. That's the 8 hours we're all shooting for. But on the right, you have quality. And that's the real story. Are you actually sleeping continuously? Is your breathing stable? Or is your body being constantly jolted awake by these little arousals you don't even remember? The crucial thing to get here is that you can have a full night of sleep, quantity, with almost zero sleep quality. So how do you even know if your sleep quality is taking a hit? Well, that leads us right into our third section. Let's decode the warning signs. These are the practical, real-world symptoms you should absolutely not be ignoring. So let's just lay it all out. What are the big red flags that tell you something more is going on here than just a couple of bad nights? Okay, let's run through the most common ones. And as I'm talking, just be honest with yourself. Do any of these sound familiar? Feeling so tired during the day you could literally fall asleep anywhere? Loud snoring that wakes up the house? Has your partner ever told you that you stop breathing or gasp for air? These are not small things. Waking up with headaches, feeling exhausted no matter how long you were in bed, struggling to focus. These are all clinical signs that something is not right. Okay, so you recognize a few of those signs. Now what? This is the crucial step where we move away from just feeling tired and we step into the world of objective scientific data. Let's look at the actual path to diagnosis. So how do you get that objective data? Well, the gold standard is a test called a polysomnography, or PSG. It sounds super complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's a comprehensive overnight study that records exactly what your body is doing second by second while you're asleep. It just takes all the guesswork out of it. And the amount of data it gathers is just incredible. It's not looking at just one thing. It's measuring your brain waves to see exactly what sleep stages you're in, your eye movements, your muscle activity, your breathing, and this is a big one, your blood oxygen levels and your heart rhythm. It literally creates a detailed map of your entire night, showing doctors precisely where things are going wrong. And all of this brings us to our final and honestly probably the most important section. Why would you go through all this trouble? Let's talk about the stakes. What happens if you ignore the problem and the power of finding a solution? This is about investing in your health. Look, an untreated sleep disorder isn't just about feeling groggy tomorrow. Think of it like a domino effect. It's that first domino that, once it's tipped, can lead to a whole cascade of major health problems. And the research is crystal clear on this. It's linked to a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, even cognitive decline. This is a serious long-term health issue. But here is the really good news. The treatments are incredibly effective. And this quote says it all perfectly. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Modern sleep medicine is really personalized. The right treatment for you is going to depend on your specific diagnosis, how severe it is, and your individual needs. So let's just put it all together. This is the whole path right here. It starts with you just having the awareness to recognize the symptoms. From there, it's a clear scientific process. You get an objective diagnosis, you have an expert interpret that data, you get a treatment plan that's made just for you, and then you follow up to make sure it's working. See, this isn't guesswork. It is an evidence-based way to take back your health. So, when you boil it all down, this is what it comes to. Taking your sleep seriously isn't some kind of luxury. It is a fundamental investment in your long-term health, your daily performance, and your overall quality of life. We've looked at the science, we've laid out the path, so the only question left is the one you see right here. Are you ready to take control?